Bum bubblum 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 bum 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 bubblum 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 bubblum. Oh, oh, hey, there you are. Are you ready? Do you know what you're in for?
Oh boy.
The Dougcaster. Welcome to the Dougcaster. We're glad to have you here on a Friday afternoon. What time is it? 5 o'clock? Yeah, about 5 o'clock. Ooh, baby, 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 baby. How you doing? Are you all right? Everything going good? The fuck, man? You deal with all that shit? There's a lot of shit you gotta deal with. Are you dealing with it? Can you handle it? Are you making it through? What is it? February 20-something? February 21st, Friday. February 21st, 2025. Do you feel alive? Oh, I tried to shake the slide whistle. The slide whistle don't shake. Here. Do you feel alive? Anyway, we're gonna start with some things that we missed from the last one. There was one thing that I didn't go far enough on, and another one that I missed one of the questions because it was such a big question. Okay, so if you'll recall, third grade Abe asked how many is a billion, and so we talked out the math. And if you think in terms of seconds, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year. You get it, baby, you get it. You can do the math. You can do the math. Them are just numbers that you use. You can do it. I love that little tweet. All right, that didn't work. Okay, so we figured out that 1,000 seconds is 16 minutes. Go up 1,000,000 seconds is 11 and a half hours. That's a pretty significant jump. If you go from 1,000,000 seconds to 1,000,000,000 seconds, 1,000,000,000 seconds is 31 and a half years. 31 and a half years? What? And so I didn't even pull this offline. I did this right before the podcast. I was doing math. I was okay, that's the numbers. Do it twice. Make sure you get it right. You don't want to fuck it up. You don't want to lie to the people because you don't need to Google it. You can do the math. All right, so 1,000,000 was how many? 31 and a half years. 1,000,000 seconds, 31 and a half years. How many is a trillion? Drum roll, please. That was a terrible drum roll. You're fired. You're fucking fired. Okay. So 31 and a half years for a billion. A trillion, you jump up to 31,709 years. So 1,000,000,000 seconds is 31 and a half years. If you go from 1,000,000,000 to a trillion, now you got 31,709 years. Can you believe it? How can even though it's a trillion, it's a huge number. It's just not a reasonable number for you to think about. Okay, well, let's drop back down to the billion. So I said something about if somebody had $10 billion and they spent $250,000 a day. I didn't do the math and I fucked it all up. So if you had $10 billion, you got $10 billion, you just keep it in cash. You're not investing it and letting the money make you the money, which is usually the way it's going to go. But you just got the $10 billion flat. You spend it all, it's gone, right? So you got $10 billion. You could spend $250,000 a day. $250,000 a day for 10 years. $250,000 a day for 10 years, and you'd have spent $912 million. Less than $1 billion. So you'd still have $9 billion left. You could buy a nice house every single day and still have for 10 years and still have $1 billion left. Okay, what was the other thing we wanted to pick up on? A little thinking music. Hey, did you like that we got the intro back in the... Oh, boy. Hoo, 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 hoo. The Dougcaster. Yeah, I liked it. I was glad I fucking finally remembered this time, god damn it. Okay, so Franklin Ravioli asked, is AI consciousness? We talked about consciousness and how it's most likely from emergence, which we see in other things, and yada yada, and then we went on into the meaning of life. So if you didn't catch that, the meaning of life is back there. You should check that out. Okay, so, but he asked, is AI consciousness? Does AI, artificial intelligence, he doesn't, is AI consciousness is not the way to ask it. I don't know if that's how I actually asked it or if that's just how I have it written down here on my notes of things to do today. That's right. I don't just sit out. I'm like, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. And I'm going to talk about this. And I'm going to scratch my nuts. And I'm going to fart in your general direction. Okay. So artificial intelligence, consciousness, is any artificial intelligence currently conscious? Will it be in the future? Okay. Big question. That's a big question. So you think about what consciousness is and trying to determine that. And from what we talked about on the last episode, they're like fucking episodes. So in the last episode, we talked about emergence and how like things become greater than the sum of their parts, like with cells, or even a cell itself, and then cells making up things, and then moving that on to the mind, and the more and more complex it gets, the more it creates this sense of, experience. That's what consciousness is like, right? It's your experience, basically. So up into experience. So can artificial intelligence have experience? What is an artificial intelligence? Oh boy. Okay, so this is all kinds of things on servers, and they're built by training. Like they have a starting point, but then it manipulates itself. Like they give it a bunch of information, and it's like which ones get it right, which ones get it wrong, and it just kind of does its own version of evolution, and it doesn't even necessarily like worry about how it's going on inside of it and what things it's deciding to do. And it's something specific. And oh man, I'm not explaining this very well, but that seems to be a theme, doesn't it? Doug doesn't explain it very well. That's what I should title every time I talk about that. This should be called, all right, are you ready for Doug does not explain it very well? Yay! Okay. So, but yeah, imagine like you're trying to get it to do a specific thing, like recognize a picture of a school bus, recognizing a picture of something. Yes, but also like they have us training, like every time you gotta be like, I am not a computer, click the pictures with the bicycles, click the pictures with the motorcycle. You're helping to fucking train that shit too. But anyway, yeah, there's something specific like that, and they just have like a starting point. And then they just make little random tweaks to like they create copies of the starting point and make a little random tweak to each one. And then they give it a test. And then the ones that score badly on the test, they throw away. And the ones that scored good, they keep them. They make copies of each of those. And then they show them, they each make a little mutation and make several, and then they give the test again. And the best one of those stay. So it just kind of like it's crazy, man. And like you can have AI programs that can fix their own code and program themselves, and so you end up with these things that you can't really tell what's going on inside. Deep learning, that's called deep learning. Just that evolutionary way of doing it. And like you're just feeding like all this data, and then you get it together and you're feeding it on a much bigger level. And so you end up with these really big, complex things that just live in a bunch of servers somewhere, like a whole bunch, and they got all kinds. You couldn't really tell what's going on inside of it, but the majority of them are what do you call GPT, general GLM, general language models, GLM, something like that. General language models. And like the ones like Chat GPT and stuff where you type stuff in, like it's really good at trying to decide what to say next and to string things together. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it knows what it's doing. It means it's doing what it does well. And these like all kinds of things, and like it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing of servers and a crazy amount of code that has all been evolved like insane, right? So would is that the right word for it? General language model? GLM? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Because, like, sorry, that's annoying when I can't think of things and I sit here and stutter. GLM or it kind of reminds me of like that multi-level marketing, MLM. So I think it is GLM, General Language Model. Something language model. It's something language model. So moving on. There's no reason to think that those are conscious, but at the same time, like what is your brain? But it's a bunch of connections, just a crazy amount of connections going back and forth and exchanging small bits of information. And so if you think in that level, like, is there something special about your brain being made of meat that's going to allow that experience to happen versus over connections like that? Like, it's not impossible that artificial intelligence could become conscious, but it would almost be impossible to know exactly when it happened. And I think that it probably will happen at some point. I don't think it's happened yet, but things are going to expand. It's going to be exponential. The next few years, it's going to be ridiculous what happens with this shit. It really is. It's going to be absolutely crazy how far it advances. I mean, is it going to hit a brick wall or is it just going to keep going? And if you think about it, like a computer system, they can get smarter than us really quick. Like, you could have the smartest men in the world in a room for 1,000 years fixing and trying to solve certain problems, or you could have AI work on it for like 5 minutes, you know? So it's really insane. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think we'll be able to actually say, like, it even might say things, like you might type into Chat GPT and it might say things that make you think that it's feeling or experiencing, but there's no reason to believe that's true. They're just really good at making words. But at the same time, as, you know, I don't know, the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, 20 years, like, unless everything, like, if it keeps advancing for 20 years, I think it's highly likely. But anyway, yeah, it's going to get much, I don't know. Doomsday alarms? Is AI going to fuck us all up? Large language models aren't. That's an LLM. God damn it, I'm so sorry. Large language models. I've been saying, yes, LLM, large language models. That's what ChatGPT, that's what those are. Large language models. Lots of code on servers, code that fucking evolved itself. Crazy fucking shit. Okay, so did you hear about this? We're shifting tones here. Okay, picture it. You're in the jungle, right? It's been dry. It's been dry in the jungle. And off a little bit out of the jungle in the savannah, there's a pretty big pond still. It used to be a great lake, but now it's just a pond. And all the animals go to there to drink. So one day the gorilla says, I'm going to go out of the jungle here, get me a quick little drink over there on the savannah in that pond. A little out of my element, but I'm a fucking gorilla. Hoo! 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 So I'm going to go get a drink. So he's walking up there, and he sees this lion, this great big male lion, king of the fucking jungle. He sees the fucking king of the jungle right there. Great big mane. And he sees the king of the jungle right there, and he goes, that fucking son of a bitch. And then the lion puts its head down to get a big drink. It really leans down into it. He's got his ass in the air and he's got his tail up. And the gorilla goes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And so the gorilla runs over there, gives him the old Liberace, 3 pumps and roll. And then the gorilla runs off as fast as he can back to the jungle. The lion turns around, the fucking gorilla. And the lion goes chasing after him. So the gorilla comes across a campsite, but the people aren't there. The tent's empty. So he goes in the tent and he throws a blanket over his legs, puts a hat on his head, and there happens to be a copy of the last week's New York Times. So he picks that up and holds it up, So he's got the blanket over his legs and the hat, and all you can see is maybe his fingers because he's got the New York Times in front of him. And so the lion comes across his campsite, and he opens the door of the tent, and the lion goes, hey, have you seen a gorilla? And the gorilla says, what, you mean that one that fucked the lion in the ass? And the lion goes, huh, it's already in the papers? I don't know. I feel like I overtold it or something, or I went a little, I don't think the punchline was quite right. But, ta-da! You weren't expecting that shit, were you? Oh, Jesus Christ. I guess it's going to be a little bit of a short one because, no. We're not doing that yet. We got, okay. Oh, let me talk about me. Enough about you. Enough about you and your silly gorillas and lions, and how many seconds is a trillion, and oh, how much money would be left if this guy that was rich spent a little money. You expect us to care? You expect us to care? Enough of this. Enough of this. Now we talk about a me. We talk about a me. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I told you I had to replace the battery on the truck last week because it got cold and it killed the dying battery. I replaced the battery. Oh, geez. And the car's still acting up. And so I took the truck to get, it was lunch. So I took the truck to pick up a couple groceries and to get some drive-through from the Taco John's. As you do, you go to the Taco John's. So I went to the Taco John's. Because Taco John's is not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay, and so I'm coming back down Broadway, and then all of a sudden my gas pedal no work. My gas pedal didn't no work. And the little screen light up, what it say? Engine power low, something like that. Something to that effect. Oh, shit. Pushing on the gas does nothing. So I'm coming back up along grocery store again, so I go into the turn lane to turn into there and to go around to their parking lot. Fortunately, there wasn't nobody behind me because when I got the arrow, I had to just lift my foot off the brake. And that little bit like when you're in drive, but you're not pushing on gas, but you still go a little bit. I did that all the way around and past the bank into the Hy-Vee parking lot. It's like some kind of miracle that there was nobody right behind me going, come on, honking their horn. I wouldn't have blamed them. I wouldn't have blamed them at all. So I got in the parking lot, and I was like, fuck. So I turned it on. Before I even, I turned it off and restarted a couple times before I did the coasting into the thing. So I got out with it off and opened the hood and looked around and was like, I don't fucking know nothing, and slammed the hood down. And then I went and started again, and then the gas was working. It was fine. I was like, oh, okay, fluke, just a fluke. So I got about 5 blocks and it did it again. But this time I was on a side street, so I just pulled off the side. I did the same thing. I shut off, I went out, opened the hood, shut it, and then it started again. So I managed to get it home, but my mechanic is like 20 minutes out in the boonies, out towards the ranch. Mechanic's out towards the ranch, so I gotta get this fucking thing out to the mechanic, motherfuckers. So what I'm gonna do is, I was thinking about just trying to drive it out there and being like, well, you might make it, you might not. And if you don't, well, you just call a tow truck, you wait for them, and they'll take you the rest of the way. But then I'm like, man, I don't know what the odds are. Even if they're 50-50, I don't want to roll the dice on that because I don't want to be sitting on the side of the interstate for an hour and a half waiting for a tow truck. No. No. So I'm just going to get it towed out tomorrow. And I could follow him with my car, but when I called the mechanic, I was like, my car's still doing that fucking thing too. So I'm gonna take you to the truck, and then when you get that fixed, I'm gonna swap it with the car, and you fix the car, and you do it all. You do it all. You get it this time. You get in there. You pull out the tonsils. I don't care whether you pull out the tonsils. You'll fix it. You'll fix it. Yeah. He's cool though. It's just like he's like, well, how the hell is it still doing it? I fixed this and this, so this time it's just gonna be like the thing that you don't think could possibly be wrong. You fix that too. Anyway, always fucking something, you know. Yeah. The fucking car, the truck, or the battery. Now that this, there was a sensor not too long ago I had to get replaced on the truck. I got an airbag sensor I gotta get replaced. I need to get an airbag recall still. I fucking called the place 2 months ago and they still ain't calling me back. I'm gonna call them again soon. And they are gonna fix the airbag and they're gonna fix the airbag sensor. Yeah, Man, to not deal with it, I'd just assume be able to disconnect the airbags so that they never go off. I'd be happy with that. If I could get that, get rid of the sensor warning, that'd be fine. But that's probably not legal. I don't think I can find anybody to do that, and I'm not gonna try to figure out how to do that on my own. Either I'd electrocute myself or I'd fuck something up. You know, it's always something though. Just when was it? This weekend. It was after the weekend. It was like super early in the morning. I got up and I dropped my glasses on the floor and lens came out because the frame cracked. And so fuck, my only pair of reading glasses, I need that shit, man. It's like I need it to work and look on my phone. I need these fucking reading glasses. And so I ended up taking a little bit of Gorilla Glue and putting it right where it cracked. And putting the lens in there and wrapping rubber band around it to hold it closed while it dry. And that seems to be doing the trick. But I also went and got a fresh eye exam a couple days ago and ordered 2 pairs of reading glasses. Boom, 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 boom. And with what I'm thinking of society, like that'll probably be the last time I have to get glasses. Those will probably last me the rest of my life. It's always fucking something, you know. Oh, I better pay my taxes. Oh, gotta pay my taxes. Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta pay this bill. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I gotta renew the car plates. I gotta do, not even the money. Just the fucking having to do it. Just the monotony of the bullshit you fucking gotta do to fucking exist. Fuck it. Fuck them all. We need a fucking new society. How are we gonna do such a thing? I don't know. But oh man, this sounds like I'm going the wrong way with this. Man, I don't know. I'm just tired of all the basic things you have to do to simply exist. It just gets old. I don't know. Like actually what I'm going for is more like a basic universal income. And so everybody has some money and then you can go do whatever and get a little extra money. Like everybody can have a place to exist at least, right? A place to exist, food to eat, a shower you can shower in, a toilet you can shit in. Fucking that, let's all get that. The fucking crazy people, they're going to run around just going, rah! Fucking, you can get rid of them, but everybody else, let's just give everybody a place. Because that's going to take care of so much shit. If people feel secure, like that's going to take, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. What is it? What's that? Is that a beaver? All right. I guess it's time for something. What's the time for? Is it movie time? Is it movie time? Sorry, dude. I don't know how that sounded with my teeth clamped on the the fucking whistle and going, movie time! It's a movie time! All right, let's hope that wasn't too painful. Hey, how about some movie time? Oh, hold on, I got a thing. I got a thing to start us off. See if we can do it. Okay. So, I watched this movie. I believe it was on Max. It had to be on Max, right? Is it going? Oh, no, you gotta wait a minute. Hold on, there we go. Yeah. Who's that? Who's that? Is that Tom Waits? Is that Tom Waits? Is that Tom Waits? Come on now. All right, so the name of this movie was Sea of Love, and I was like, it reminds me of the Tom Waits song. Okay, so that song is on the 3 album thing, like a compilation. It's not even a compilation. They're not on other stuff really, but it's called Orphans. I'm sorry, that was a little rambly. Let me start fresh. Start fresh. Reset. Okay, that was the wrong maraca. This one just sounds better. This one sounds weak. This one sounds like, hey, I'm fucking talking to you. Okay, so it's on Orphans, which is 3 different discs. There's Brawlers, songs that kind of rock. Ballers, them are the ballads. And Bastards, and them are just the weird fucking ones, like the one where he just has some weird sounds and he's telling crazy insect facts. The dung beetle can remove its own head. I don't even know. But anyway, so Sea of Love is on that. So that's how I'm familiar with it. And so there's this movie, Pacino. I was like, okay, what year is it? 1989. So this is a 1989 movie. And let's look at the credits because I see Pacino. Sea of Love, 1989. Al Pacino, John Goodman. Okay, that's what I want to watch right now. So, fucking watched it, and like the first half of it, it's just such great fucking late 80s, early 90s, it's just the right vibe for the first half of that movie is just so fun, okay? Samuel L. Jackson. Fucking Samuel L. Jackson himself shows up for just a minute. He's just barely in it. He's probably in the credits of the movie, but you know, he doesn't show up in IMDb for it. But he's just in a minute for an early scene because Al Pacino is a police officer, and so he gathers. There's all these people that are invited to this big event. The Yankees. It's like something for the Yankees, and one of them's going to talk about, like, some of their favorite players are going to talk about some stuff, and it's like they got a ticket to go see the Yankees, not see them play, but like meet them. And so like all these people show up, and they're all sitting down, and Al Pacino gets up there and he's talking, and Samuel L. Jackson comes in late and says some smart ass shit, and then and Al Pacino's like, actually, you're all under arrest. So, like, it was just people they were trying to get. They just all sent them invites and just arrested them all. And then Al Pacino's outside with the other cops. And this guy comes up with this kid. And he's like, hey, I got my ticket. Me and my kid was so excited. Whoo! And Al Pacino's like, oh, yeah? Well, what's your name? Let me see your ticket. And he looks at it. And he has them run it because he's standing by the police car, so they run it, and they're like, oh, he's wanted for some minor things, theft, and blah, blah, blah. And Al Pacino's like, okay. And he takes the ticket back, and he hands it back to the guy, and he says, sorry, man, not today. It's closed. And the guy's like, oh, man, but my kid, he's going to be... He's like, no, you go. I don't know. Okay, so that's fun. Oh, okay. Somebody else in it. You remember Step Brothers? John C. Reilly's dad? Richard Jenkins. He's in it. He plays another cop who is now married to Al Pacino's ex-wife. And Al Pacino keeps calling her up in the middle of the night like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm sleeping in bed next to my new husband." Hangs up the phone or whatever. Oh, okay, right. And Michael Rooker. You know Michael Rooker from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and other things that I can't think of right now. He's in it. He's in it for a minute. He's briefly a suspect, and then there's this woman, and she's killing people. So it seems, and like there's several guys are killed naked in their bed with a gunshot wound to the head. And there's police so Al Pacino's investigating one and John Goodman's investigating one on separate police forces, and they both have a lot of similarities, so they come together on the case. So it's a man shot through the head, and for some reason, Sea of Love is playing on a record, not the Tom Waits version. No. The original, because that's a remake, that's a cover. The original, I don't know, 1950s. Who is it? Phil Phillips? I looked it up. Yeah. Phil Phillips. I mean, not a bad song, but it's nothing you'd have any interest in whatsoever listening to today. And it plays, it's almost on too much. But anyway, it's like on repeat after the guys, it's still playing when he's discovered. And then I don't know about the other crime if it's there too. But the song played like it's a little bit of giveaway. And at one point he's like, "Oh, you got a copy of Sea of Love, huh? Good song." And, yeah, I haven't listened to those old records in forever or whatever, but it's like, it plays like a clue, and then or whatever. And at the very end, there's the Tom Waits version. Yeah, but the original version is like I don't know. It's old. It's cool. I think it's a black dude, so it's cool. Like I'm serious about that. Like if it's in the 1950s or early 60s and it's a black dude, he's fucking pulling the exit. No, you don't. You don't know that, but he is. He is. I'm sorry. I'm a pathetic white man. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Where are we at? Okay, so Pacino's name of the thing is Frank. And so he's checking this murder, and John Goodman's checking this murder. And something else that the guys have in common is that they both placed personal ads. So like back before internet dating, I guess especially in big cities, you could pay approximately $300. From this movie is where I get this information. You could pay approximately $300 to get an ad in a certain paper where, people could browse it. And so like you could try to meet a woman that way. And so that was something that they had in common. So they end up putting these personal ads in there that they think will appeal to her based on these two guys. There might have been a third or fourth case as well to pull evidence from. But they put personal ads based on the personal ads of the other guys. And so they go, Al Pacino and John Goodman. John Goodman, by the way, have I mentioned? I don't think I've said yet, but John Goodman. Fucking, it's John Goodman. You gotta fucking love him. Even when he delivers a cheesy line, he's still John Goodman delivering it. You gotta fucking love him. So, like they got this restaurant and like, they play each other's waiter when the other one's on a date, and there's a van outside and they're wired and everything and they're meeting all these women. And then one woman, and they're collecting the glass from the drink so they can get fingerprints, because there's fingerprints at the crimes. So if they can get fingerprints, they can know which woman it is. And this one woman is irritated with Al Pacino, and she takes off before she touches her drink. So they got nothing out of her. We got nothing. And so I don't even remember how it goes, but Pacino ends up rendezvousing her with her. He probably seeks her out because he didn't get a print. But then he falls in love with her, and no, she can't be the one. But then things start pointing to her being the one, and then and then it turns out it's not her. I'm not giving away too much of the twist, but it turns out it's not her. And I'm saving some of the twist for you. So if you do want to watch Sea of Love, I'm not going to spoil it too much. We did spoil a lot, though, but that's not the point. The first half is just such a fun 80s night. Like, watch the first half of Sea of Love and then turn off if you get bored, where Al Pacino's like, I think I love this woman. It's been a week, and I think we should move in together. Ah! That ass! That ass! I don't know. Come here, kid. You see that, man? He gonna stick his tongue out to that girl. Watch. Did you see what happened to him? Did you see what happened to him? Okay. So, and then at the very... one other thing. So, a couple times when Pacino goes into bars, Pacino orders a double of Dewar's. Dewar's Scotch! Ah! You know the Dewar's Scotch. Remember out at the Horseshoe when all Styles had the diamond status? And you go in the back room and you say, give me a Dewar's, and they give you some ice and like a full-size pint glass over half filled with Scotch. Dewar's Scotch. I don't know. Anyway, because of that connection, Dewar's is still a pretty good Scotch. If you want a cheap Scotch, Dewar's is, it's still 20 some bottles a bottle, but if you don't want to spend 50 bottles on a bottle of Scotch, Dewar's. You go with Dewar's. That's Jim Beam hiccups right there. Okay. Knock back the last little bit of that Jim Beam. I finished the beer. I went and got a couple beers. I haven't been drinking much beer lately. So the very end of the amino, the very end of the amino acid is not the powerhouse of the cell. That would be the mitochondria. I dropped the fucking... It's striped like a bumblebee, the little... Oh, I just noticed, I never noticed before, on the very end of it, there's a little face. 2 dots for an eye, a red dot for a nose, 2 red dots for cheek, and a little line for a smile on the little bumblebee maraca. It is supposed to be a bumblebee. It just doesn't have wings. It's striped, and it's got a little face on the end. I don't know. I can't help... Remember... what the fuck's it called? Shit Yo Pants Vids. On Shit Yo Pants Vids, if you find the Kevorkian Kids video and you watch Mario shake the maraca, that's all I can picture whenever I pick this one up and I try to shake it and the sound. He's got a funny, he like lean forward, it's back over his head, he just shakes it like he doesn't even give a fuck. Just, I don't know, that's pretty good. Pacino throws him out the window. Okay, the other movie... There's one more for movie time. Oh, Jesus Christ, we getting the slide whistle again? Is he getting the fucking slide whistle again? He is. There's one more movie for movie time. What could it be? 10 years old. Oh, hold on. Before we do that. Tell you what, Tom Waits is a groove, man. It takes a while to get used to it, but you get used to that voice, and I can't think of anybody else who where the Tom Waits voice, once you get it in your head, it's so, I like it. Okay, so the other movie is 10 years ago, The Revenant. Did you ever see The Revenant? I believe I watched it one other time before on Redbox, and The Bear Attack. I remember just the Bear Attack, just from everything I've read and 10 years ago, everything I had read and everything, I was like, that looks so fucking realistic. And it's a CGI bear, but you wouldn't know it. Imagine showing this to somebody in 1990. They'd have to think it was a real train. It'd have to be a real trained bear. What? But it looks amazing. And it looks so realistic. The bear is not putting a lot of effort into the attack. So... The thing that prompted me to watch that again Have I mentioned the Tooth and Claw podcast? Tooth and Claw, pretty good. They haven't been as good lately. I mean, I still love it, and I'll still watch it or listen to it, excuse me, religiously whenever there's a new episode. But if you scroll down a little ways, and then it's a lot more solid, especially when they dive into his story and stuff. But they did one talking about the true story of the guy behind that the Revenant is based on, and then they did another one that's a movie review, and so very interesting. So the Revenant is based on a guy called Hugh Glass. No relation to Ira Glass, the guy from This American Life on NPR. This week we're looking at... I can't do it. This American Life is actually a pretty entertaining podcast. If you just want stories for an hour, it's actually pretty good. Hugh Glass was a fur trapper way back in the day, was out with a team of people, and he was partially raised by Native Americans, Indians, whatever you want to say. And, well, I don't know about raised, but he had connections there, like he'd been with them for a while. Like he probably had an Indian wife. He may or may not have had a son. Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, so Hugh Glass is out with these fur trapping guys out in the middle of nowhere, and he goes off and he's hunting. I don't even know that they're necessarily trapping. They might be more hunting than trapping. They're probably doing both, but I think they mainly try to shoot stuff, skin it, and get the fur and bring the fur back, and then they can eat some of it while they're out there. But so anyway, he's off and he's got his rifle, and he hears a noise and he sees it, and it's a couple of bear cubs, and he's like, oh shit. And then right as he hears a noise behind him, he turns around and this bear charges him, and he's got the rifle. It's one of them old ass ones where you gotta do the flit and everything. So it takes a minute to load it, and so it's just got one shot in it. The bear, he doesn't even have time to get the shot off. It's like here's the bear, he turns around, and this is actually okay. So let's focus on how it really happened at first, then we'll come back to the movie. So he gets fucked up by this bear. He gets fucked up, and his whole party, they try to carry him a little bit, can't really do it. Like, it's too much. There's way too far to go. There's no way they're going to survive. Cold, snowy weather conditions, they just they can't bring him with. So the main guy offers him extra money for the two people that'll stay with him and wait until he dies and then bury him. So these two guys get extra money. Don't fuck around, wait until he passes, bury him properly, and then come catch up with us. And for this, you're going to get a substantial amount of money. I think it was like $200, which is like a huge amount of money back in the 1800s. Okay? And so two guys agree to stay behind. I can't think of their names. One of them's played by Tom Hardy in the movie, which I only know from hearing those. I don't even know who the fuck Tom Hardy is. To be quite honest, I don't. But apparently it was that guy that was partly scalped in the movie. Okay. But anyway, so they stay there, and they end up going, he's not going to get better. Let's just leave him here and let's go catch up. And they take his gun, and they just fucking leave, because he's fucked up. He can't talk. He is near death. He's fucking near death. But he hasn't died yet. And so they take his gun and they go off. We'll talk about discrepancies in a minute. Well, you know what? Let's marry the things, okay? So in the movie, there's also his half Native American son is there, and Tom Hardy's character kills the son, and that prompts them to say, hey, we're getting out of here. We don't know that Hugh Glass even had a son. And he certainly was not on this mission. That was invented for the movie as a prop to move the story forward. Because now he's got this revenge. They fucking killed his son in front of him when he was laying there. He could barely through his slashed up throat where it's just gurgling, and he's just so fucked up he just couldn't do nothing. That was the movie version. In reality, there was no son. In both, they take his rifle and they leave him. Okay? So, for the movie, the motivation is the son. In real life, the motivation was the rifle. He really liked that rifle, and even more because like now he's out here like with nothing. Like if he does survive, he doesn't have anything to get food or defend himself or nothing. He's just fucked. And so he survives and he crawls and eventually heals like just crazy. He's a mountain man. He knows these areas better than anybody and blah, 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 blah. But he survives and he ends up healing. I think a couple Native Americans help him, which I think are true to the story, not necessarily the way depicted. But he ends up, he survives. He makes so many miles, mainly by crawling, foraging food, being so hungry, eating raw buffalo liver right out of the buffalo. And he eventually gets back. Okay, so in reality, he eventually finds the younger guy and he confronts him on it, but he's like, "You're young and I forgive you." And then he goes the guy that actually took the rifle, and he's like his whole plan, like he's just been like, "This motherfucker, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. This fucking piece of shit left me for dead and took my rifle." And then this guy is just signed up with the military in some capacity. I don't remember what year it is, but he had just signed up with something, and so now he's protected. To whereas if he had killed him, he'd have been killed himself or thrown in jail or something. But at any rate, he arrives and he's like, "Ah!" And the guy gives him this rifle back. And he kind of goes, "All right, fuck you, see you later." So like he got his right, but and then he went on to do I don't know what else. But Hugh Glass, a real guy, that like probably the toughest fucking guy. Like the movie does a good job of predicting, not predicting, like presenting. The movie does a good job of presenting just to fucking how fucking cold and shit and rough and how much it would have sucked. And Leonardo DiCaprio, he actually ended up winning the Oscar for this. Like maybe they gave it to him because none of the other, I don't know, just because he never got it before. But like, man, they went through it for this. Like they didn't do sound stages and shit. Like for the movie, they actually were out in the fucking wilderness filming, and he's actually in cold wind. Like that's not dressing around the set when he goes in the river and shit. It's actually like the middle of winter, and I think there was a quote from him like 30 of the hardest things I've ever done for a movie were in this one, or something like that. Of the 30 hardest things I've ever done in a movie, like 20 of them are in this one. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. That's a second hand. I'm not even from him. Okay, good movie though. Yeah, and then in the end of that movie, he ends up killing the guy, Tom Hardy's character, who's partially scalped. And he doesn't actually kill him though. He beats him, and that's right when some Native Americans show up on the other side of the river they're on, and so he just pushes the guy in the river, and he floats over to them, and they just cut his throat right away or something. Anyway, The Revenant. Okay, is there anything else I should talk about? Hey, you seen that gorilla? You mean the one that fucked that lion in the ass? What? It's already in the papers? No. It's already in the papers? Anyway. Hey, love you everybody. Go fuck yourself. Happy weekend.